Hey everyone, it's Debbie, and I am going to do a solo podcast today to dive into a presentation I'm giving for our group coaching program about how you can optimize your brain health. As I know, I have the worst memory, sometimes some brain fog, focus issues, and concerned about my aging process as I watch my parents who are now 80, and I see all these issues going on with my dad and starting to see that memory dementia. And, you know, it's so much of it can be improved if we just learn some nutritional strategies and lifestyle habits, as well as our exercise. So as we go along, it's what I talk about all the time, the holistic method, working on the whole you from the inside out to optimize your health and improve an aging process. So it was appropriate that I was given this category, brain optimization, to talk about in our group 6-week transformation program I help coach, because I'm always struggling with fatigue or brain fatigue, not fatigue so much as my brain just not working as it should be. And I know there's some things I can improve. So let me share the screen. So head to the YouTube channel and look up Low Carb Athlete, Debbie Potts, and you'll find my videos that I put out for the podcast, but also some special interviews I'm going to start doing on some transformational stories that I've heard these amazing people just making huge differences in their health and quality of life by working on their nutrition. And my goal is to help them not just work on nutrition, but the next step is working on their exercise, sleep, stress management, movement throughout the day, digestion, hydration, and of course, my favorite, happiness, gratitude, play, laughter. So today we're going to focus on the week 5 in our transformation challenge. I'm doing this talk on how to optimize your brain health and cognitive performance. So I am a kind of an ex-triathlete, Ironman athlete. I don't see myself doing another one for this lifetime. I started doing Ironmans in 2001 and was forced to quit at the end of 2012. As 2013, in about March, I had severe burnout and breakdown, adrenal exhaustion. And I'm sure that contributed to my leaky blood-brain barrier. We'll talk about gut health impacts brain health, and cortisol imbalance with my hormone melatonin, and all this dysfunction leads to metabolic chaos. And ever since that year, 2013, I've been on a mission to help other people avoid going through what I went through, even though I was doing all the right things as we think of low carb and fasted workouts and doing more keto and really doing my strength training, doing my intervals and doing my yoga, but I was doing a lot of everything. And as you know, if you've listened to me long enough, anything too much can cause dysfunction, imbalance. And we want to create homeostasis, balance in our body, by finding the right dose of stressor, acute stressors, those hormetic stressors, but that Goldilocks effect, not too much of anything, just finding the right balance for you. So my fitness studio was a big part of my stress. I opened it in 2010 to create this all-in-one fitness studio in downtown Bellevue, Washington, outside of Seattle. And I was on a mission to offer group circuit training, TRX training, personal training, small group 30-minute sessions, but also sauna, acupuncture, massage, all this work on teaching people to be fat adapted athletes. I was doing it ahead of the time. So people were kind of confused when I made t-shirts saying, eat fat to burn fat, and doing 21-day sugar detoxes and 5-day jumpstart challenges. And I had a Viome seminar, and I did all this stuff, but I just wasn't as successful as I needed to be to cover my high rent. That was a big contributor of my 10 years of chronic stress, just constantly worrying about how to succeed as a small business owner. On top of that, I was doing Ironman's 50K trail runs in the off season of my Ironmans, and I was doing marathons and half marathons and just too much of everything. So I'm feeling better because thank you to COVID, I was working online, coaching clients on Zoom, and I was preparing to close my fitness studio October 2019. Fortunately, I had a game plan post fitness studio owner to be a health and fitness coach online. And I was beginning of 2020, pre-COVID, training clients here and there and run coaching and doing all this different stuff all over, but I was too scattered and I wasn't really happy. And thanks to COVID, I was forced to stop training people all different locations and really focus on growing my business. I was passionate about what I do now, the holistic method, health and fitness coaching as a FDN practitioner, being kind of health investigator, adding in functional lab testing and doing nutritional therapy work with people, combining all my training from the past 25 plus years all together into one comprehensive personalized coaching program. So I moved from Seattle to San Diego almost 2 years ago. The summer of 2020, we moved into our house, September of 2020, and really found this new sense of joy and happiness, thriving in the outdoors and living life to the fullest every day. And just walking away from that constant, crazy, busy schedule I had in Bellevue in my previous life. And so now I actually like this way of life and I'm happy. So what does happiness mean to you? I know we talk a little bit about neurotransmitters in our seminar today. I found this infographic. I was trying to find online what are the brain chemicals that make us feel happy? What brings you happiness and joy? As one of the 8 elements of my holistic method program that I coach individuals on is happiness, play, gratitude. Because I think so many of us that I work with are similar to me, that we're type A, AAA driven, ambitious, high charging individuals. Athletes are not, but we tend to do too much in life. We tend to put too much on our plate, burn the candle at both ends. And we're in this constant stress, sympathetic dominant mode and mood. But happiness, we need play, we need gratitude. We need to be able to let our guard down and chill out, relax, have fun. So 4 neurotransmitters we'll touch on today. I have limited time to talk about all of this. I'm just going to touch on this, and more information is in my slides. If you want a copy of them, just send me a message at lowcarbathlete.com. So dopamine, it enables motivation, learning, pleasure, gives you determination to accomplish those desires and needs. It's kind of that hit, that rush we get, dopamine rush, when we are gambling or winning something or racing. And then there's endorphins when we're exercising. It's feeling of significance or important among peers, calm form of accepting yourself with the people around you. Serotonin releases a brief euphoria to mask physical pain, responsive pain, and stress that alleviates it. Then oxytocin, a big hormone that my friend Dr. Anna Quebeca talks about all the time. Oxytocin, it's a feeling of trust, motivates you to build and sustain relationship, known as the cuddle or love hormone. And as Dr. Anna always explains, if oxytocin is down, cortisol's up. So if you are stressed out, your cortisol levels are elevated, your oxytocin is usually pushed down. So in reverse, how do we raise oxytocin and lower the cortisol levels from stress? Well, we want to love, hug people, be around people that make us happy, find joy, gratitude. We want to improve the oxytocin hormone. So let's talk about brain degeneration, symptoms of it. As I said, memory loss, something I feel like I'm experiencing, and watching your parents age. Maybe you see this in your family members. Forgetfulness, confusion, mood changes, loss of inhibition, anxiety, apathy, agitation. What are the 3 main common issues of brain imbalance? Well, what we talk about in our coaching program is neurotransmitter imbalances. Leaky brain leads to a leaky gut leads to a leaky brain. So you'll hear a lot about the BBB, blood-brain barrier. HPA axis dysfunction. When I wrote my book, Life is Not a Race, is about HPA dysfunction. We used to call it adrenal fatigue exhaustion, but it's kind of a catch-all phrase. It's not really the adrenals, but it's on top of that, the HP axis, hypothalamus, pituitary to adrenal axis. So brain degeneration, what is it? It's the science of neurogenesis. And that suggests that aerobic exercise, brain exercises, stress relief, and other lifestyle habits can encourage brain regeneration, improve your brain health, and may help you prevent or treat degenerative diseases as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or even reverse the damage for traumatic brain injury. And that's from a handout Dr. Jockers has out on brain health. He also, Dr. Jockers did a great chart I included here. Chronic stress, as this is something I think we all struggle with in my always area of opportunity in my previous life. Chronic stress impacts your brain. Anxiety, anger, headaches, apathy, focus, brain fog, you'll see on this list. Recognizing those symptoms of stress. And on the chart, you can see if you're watching the video, teeth grinding, apathy, trouble concentrating, anger, anxiety, headaches, muscle tension, stomach problems, skin irritations, decreased sex drive. It's not happiness is missing. And the effects of stress on the body can impact our mood, including anger, depression, irritability, lack of energy, concentration problems, sleeping issues, headaches, mental issues, and more. And then it goes through the other body functions, but just realize that chronic stress impacts our brain health. What are the main neurotransmitters that we will talk about a little bit today? And how do they affect our brain health? Well, we've got adrenaline, fight or flight, noradrenaline, concentration, dopamine, pleasure. We talked about serotonin is more the mood, contributes to well-being and happiness, helps sleep cycle and digestive system regulation. And it's impacted by exercise and light exposure. GABA, we can talk about, calms the firing nervous. So it's kind of the opposite of fight or flight, is calming. We want more GABA production at nighttime when we're trying to calm down and get ready for bed. Low levels of GABA can cause anxiety. So again, it's that Goldilocks effect, not too much, not too little, that right amount, the right dose. Acetylcholine, we'll talk about choline today. It's involved in learning. It's thought, learning, and memory, activates muscle activation in the body, also associated with attention and awakening. Glutamate, involved in memory, endorphins, euphoria. So let's talk about things, practical application, foods that promote brain function. So we'll get into that a little bit more, but just the first one I just left here was phosphatidylcholine, because we just talked about acetylcholine. You'll see that word choline in there. And now I can't say it. Phosphatidylcholine. There we go. Spit it out. That supports neuron function to improve cognition. And as we'll see, there's a common theme. Meats and fish are where you can find choline, phosphatidylcholine, and it's contained in eggs, mustard, sunflower, and other foods. But phosphatidylcholine we'll hear about, and choline is a different component of phosphatidylcholine and component of lecithin. And so we'll talk about them, but they're two different things. But because the body uses phosphatidylcholine to make the brain chemical called acetylcholine, there's some interest in using this for brain-centered conditions as memory loss, anxiety. So choline, phosphatidylcholine, we want to get from eggs. So serotonin is a neurotransmitter I want to touch on. And I think it's important to go into, you'll hear about leaky gut and leaky brain, because serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitter, is 95% made in our gut. So the gut bacteria produces hundreds of neurochemicals that the brain uses to regulate basic physiological processes, as well as mental processes such as learning, memory, and mood. The other 5% is made in your brain. Low serotonin gut health. Guess what? How we can improve it? Well, it's impacted by stress, disease, diet, or other causes. So, of course, stress management and working on the right nutrition intake, nutrient dense intake will impact our brain health. So, changes in your serotonin level will affect your gut as well as your brain. So, we want to always look at what we eat, how we eat, when we eat, but also digesting our food properly so we have a healthy gut. So how do we get low causes of low serotonin levels? How do we get that? I always want to know why. So of course, the word chronic stress, nutritional deficiencies, digestion issues, certain drugs, hormone changes, lack of sunlight are big causes of low serotonin levels. Bioindividuality is also part of it. Some of us might have less effective serotonin receptors, a body that breaks down serotonin or absorbs it too soon, and then low levels of nutrients that are used to help produce serotonin as L-tryptophan, vitamin D, vitamin B6, and omega-3 fatty acids. Now, going back to that gut-brain connection on serotonin, remember, it's a neurotransmitter. I briefly went over. It carries signals between brain nerve cells. The gut-brain axis is the communication line between the central nervous system and the enteric or the intestinal nervous system. So the gut and the brain is connected. So that's why we say our gut is the second brain. Research shows that, as I said, 95% is made in your GI tract, 5% is made in your brain of serotonin. It's produced in the gut to help regulate our immune system. Now let's go over another definition you'll hear a lot about. I mentioned in the beginning, BBB, blood-brain barrier. And leaky gut often leads to leaky brain. So blood-brain barrier leakage means that the brain has lost its protective means and stability of the brain cells is disrupted, and the environment in which the nerve cells interact become ill-conditioned. These mechanisms could eventually lead to dysfunction in the brain. Blood-brain barrier, it said leaky brain, it's when the endothelial cells are exposed and detrimental compounds, physiological circumstances that cause them to die prematurely, leading to a weakened defense for the brain. So you can see in the graphic that we should have these sealed alignment here and the cells. And then if we get little gaps similar to leaky gut, you can see these toxins can get through the barrier. And we definitely want to have that protective blood-brain barrier. How do we get a leaky brain? Well, here we go. Inflammation, oxidative stress, autoimmune, chronic physiological stress, infections, head trauma, poor diet, food additives, disrupted circadian rhythm, leaky gut syndrome, excess alcohol consumption, environmental toxins, heavy metals. So let's take a moment to look at that list. How much of that is controllable? How many of those factors or symptoms or factors contributing to our leaky brain are a choice we make, lifestyle choices. So we can control all this, right? Signs of a leaky brain, as we see, brain fog, or maybe you feel it, cognitive repair, headaches or migraines. A lot of people get migraines that I know of, neurodegenerative diseases, cognitive repair. As we age, don't you want to improve all this and alleviate having that dementia? So how do we see or feel or prevent this leaky brain? Well, we've got chronic stress and acute stress. We want to find the right amount. Chronic stress, chronic exercise. So there's definitely benefits to acute exercise, as you see in this chart. It's a great chart I saw online. Forget where I got it. But chronic exercise versus acute exercise, acute stress versus chronic stress. There's that positive hormetic response, adaptive response when we have just acute amount. So we want to see this acute exercise get that growth factor production of BDNF we'll talk about next, release of endorphins, activation of reward circuits, hyperactivation of the neurons, decreased dendritic branch length, and responsive to excessive glutamate release. We have that good amount of everything, right? So what is BDNF? Let's go over another definition. Brain-derived neurotropic factor, BDNF. Hear a lot about when we are talking about cold showers, exercise, BDNF. What stimulates BDNF? Well, again, exercise, meditation, deep sleep, and sunlight. What blocks BDNF? Stress, sugar, social isolation. So you think about that, actually, take a pause. Stress, sugar, social isolation, exercise, meditation, deep sleep, sunlight. What is a common theme in the Blue Zone study? People that live the longest. They're exercising, they're moving throughout the day, maybe meditation in their spiritual, religious beliefs, practices. They're sleeping deeper, probably, because they're getting out in sunlight, and they probably have a better circadian rhythm getting up sunrise and sunset. What about stress, sugar, social isolation? That would be together social isolation, looking at that oxytocin, being around people to improve that love, hug, caring for people. How do we improve our BDNF levels? Okay, goes to what I just talked about. Control your stress, your inflammation levels, not doing too much exercise, what you're eating, so it's not inflammatory foods, those toxic oils, exercising regularly, but I would add in not too much HIIT training, not too much of anything, but just that right amount. Goldilocks effect. Prioritize your social connections. A lot of people the past 2 years were isolated away from people, doing Zoom calls, and we probably lowered our oxytocin hormone, increased our cortisol hormone. So we really want to make an effort to do what I do. I have to schedule plans, especially in being in a town where I don't know a lot of people. I've had to go out of my way to organize social events and gatherings at our house to meet new people, or Friday night happy hours, or meeting people, just having quarterly parties at our house, a potluck, and just bring random people that I've met from my groups to our house. So restricting carb intake, high protein diet, sometimes that can help. Fasting correctly. And again, that's with everything with variation. So let's go over those tips. What can you do now to optimize your brain health, improve that aging process so we can live our best life? What can you do right now? I want you to think about all the things we're going to talk about next and pick one thing you can work on, and then take that one thing and figure out how you can create a new tiny habit into your daily schedule. So you always want to start with foundations. As I say all the time, you can't add poor lifestyle habits. You can't out exercise a bad diet. You can't out supplement poor lifestyle habits. We need to focus on what we eat, how, when, why. Why is a big one. We need to work on our gut health, creating morning habits of getting up, doing that fasted morning walk, having a shower and ending on cold, or doing a cold plunge, prioritizing our sleep at night, getting offline, exercise routine, not too much HIIT training, intense program, but getting that strength training, working on building those muscles up, to getting that cardiovascular exercise if needed, or just getting movement throughout the day. Chronic stress impacts everything. So we need to manage our stressors, identify them. How do we optimize our brain through food? Well, this is from a seminar on a brain neurosurgeon. I can't find it in my notes, but nutrient-dense foods to feed the brain are what we want. We don't ideally not to supplement, but eat nutrient-dense foods to get that brain health. And what food is that supplies energy to our brain and to our cells and the neurons? Fat. Elements to keep the neurons healthy are fat. Brain nerve cells come from fat. Boundaries
of our neurons fire and communicate membranes of fat, structural fat to maintain integrity from the food we eat. Building blocks of the neurons that help us sleep. They're made from fat. So food is medicine. Let's start with one main one, essential fatty acids. Are you getting enough essential fatty acids per day? So EPA, one of the essential fatty acids, 1 to 3 grams is suggested for mood. You can get that from fish oil, krill oil, or if you're not eating animals, you would like algae. And I like recovery bits. Take those at night or energy bits in the morning. They're chlorella. Algae, spirulina is in the energy bits in the morning. Omega-3s we often don't get enough of, so trying to get seafood in our diet, have some key on omegas. Omega-6s we need to watch out for those seed oils, but getting omega-6. So I should make a list of what omega-6s are. Let's go into choline. As we talked about, choline is suggested 500 to 1,000 milligrams per day, 1 to 2 grams if supplementing. Acetylcholine is the neuromodulator, brain circuit modulator to enhance electrical activity of your neurons and downplay other neurons, and the conductor with focus and alertness. So choline's going to be found in the egg yolk. So a lot of times I just had a client just afraid of egg yolk. A lot of people are still not doing eggs. I know I had to eliminate them because they're reactive to my body. So I did 3 months without eggs and have them once a week. But egg yolks have all the ingredients to help brain function, alert, focus. And so we want to make sure eggs are in there. Creatine is another supplement, comes from meat. Helps bring in water into the muscles to enhance strength and other issues, but is found creatine also helps with brain function, fuel source for the brain, and helps with mood. Might help with mild depression. And there's some good research that taking 5 grams per day can help with brain function. But again, individualize it. If you are a man and struggling with hair loss, you want to look at your genetics, the DHT receptors, hormonal levels involved with hair loss. If you're sensitive, you might not have the receptors for the creatine, or it depends on the receptors. Another source for brain health food are the skins of purple berries. So think blackberries, blueberries, and I put strawberries in here, I think also helpful, but think blueberry, blackberries. 400, 600 milligrams per day for cognitive function found for the elderly is recommended. Glutamine, that's food, rich food and seafood, and mussels, fish, shrimp, crabs are excellent source of glutamine. Seawater fish contains more glutamine content than freshwater fish. You want to have 1 to 10 grams. It may also help with offsetting sugar cravings. Glutamine, I put that in my shake mix. How do we fix a leaky gut? Well, similar to improving our blood-brain barrier, supplements, cold therapy, nourishing the gut with foods is bone broth. Avoid snacking between your meals. If you need to snack, you're probably not eating the right ratio of macros or the right foods for your body, or you're not eating correctly. You might be eating in a fast sympathetic dominance, so you're not even aware that you're full and satisfied. Those hormones aren't firing. And caution with high-fat diets. Sometimes not all of us can tolerate the high saturated fats. Controlling blood pressure, limiting alcohol, and optimizing your sleep. So how to improve your brain health tips. Let's go over those. Brain buster foods, processed inflammatory foods we want to avoid, prioritizing healthy fats, quality animal protein, herbs, spices, minerals, fermented foods. We want to manage our blood sugar by going lower carb, or personalize it by testing your blood sugar. We want to implement some form of fasting on a regular basis, 12 to 16 hours. Women might want to be more 12 to 15 hours overnight fasting. Perhaps once or twice a month, do a 24-hour fast on a low to no exercise day, like more movement day. Do low, moderate morning aerobic exercise, sprints or heavy leg lifting, chewing gum, listen to binaural beats, and diffusing essential oils while working helps your brain. Learn something new every day, doing something out of your comfort zone 4 times a year, and supplementing with fish oil at a minimum. And then bonus, if you're doing all that and you want more, you can invest in some biohacking gear and some nootropics. Let's talk about things that you can do now. So lifestyle habits for the brain, talk about exercise, walking while learning something new. You can stack that together. Sprint, HIIT training. I just was at the beach this morning and there's a hill. You can do some sprints up the hill, 15 seconds. Resistance training, I try to do 4 times a week. I'm all about getting stronger. Increasing blood flow to the brain by gum, make sure you're not getting the artificial sweetener gums. Essential oils, putting in diffuser. I have a little plug-in into our family room, kitchen, and hallway with oils. I can put in drops in there. Nasal aromatherapy is great too. How can you fix your neurotransmitter imbalances? So back in the beginning, we talked about the neurotransmitters, and I just want to touch on these a little bit. How to get the right nutrients to fire up those gut wall lining and fire up your brain cells. So we have the stronger gut wall lining and stronger blood-brain barrier. We want to limit those toxins, moderate use of stimulants, avoid taper off antidepressants, working with your doctor on that, addressing dirty genes, we'll talk about that, and lab testing and quizzes to help figure out your neurotransmitters. So let's touch on a few of those. Limit toxic exposure. Opt for organic produce, grass-fed, free-range, wild pasteurized animal products. Invest in high-quality air filters. Check out UWG. It's a great website. You can look at their app, but you can find out what is a product that you might be using now that's not ideal. Or maybe look at options for other better choices. Natural household personal care products. I have changed all of our cleaning and household items years ago to good products. Luckily nowadays they're sold everywhere. You can even find them at TJ Maxx or Home Goods. You can find Myers household and cleaning products and others. And also dentists. I finally found when I moved to San Diego a holistic dentist. So finding a dentist that works with you and your beliefs is a great find. All right, sensory overload. I'm a big one on this one. Take frequent breaks from computer screens. Feel like your eyeballs are gonna burst some days like mine, and get off the screen. I put my glasses on a lot during the day with the bright light. Avoid stimulating actions, video games before bed. So calming, remember that GABA neurotransmitter helps calming. Some lemon balm tea, passion flower extract. There's some good blends that you can get. Little CBD, I like Charlotte's Web lotion, put that on my neck. Essential oils. I use too as vibrant blue oils, and just unplugging, disconnecting. I shut off my phone, put everything in airplane mode. After 7, 8 o'clock, I'm in bed, reading, writing my journal. I go to bed early. So dirty genes, Dr. Ben Lynch has a great program called Stratagene. You can take a saliva test to get your genetic test, and maybe you already have one. You can update or upload your raw data, but looking at your dirty genes, you can read his book. Dirty Genes, a great book to look at. You can also use other programs to look at your genetic analysis. So just to touch on a few of those dirty genes, I found this interesting. I found on Stratagene or Seeking Health website, but if you have a COMT genes, slow or fast, that's going to impact if your focus is good or you're mellow and calm if it's too fast. So you can have comp, slow or fast. So we have SNPs, but sometimes things are too fast or too slow. If you have a MOAO SNP, or if it's too fast or too slow, that can impact carb cravings and mood swings. So those are interesting. All right, brain busters. What are some brain busters? Bad fats, histamines, glucose spikes, artificial sweeteners, condiments, gluten, heavy metals, LPS, lipopolysaccharides, or endotoxins, so toxins, mycotoxins. So that's going to impact your gut, and impacting our guts, impacting our brain. Quality of mind is something I've been trying. I know Ben's talked about this a lot for a while, and they're actually up near me on the coast, north of Solana Beach here, Neurohacker Collection. How to optimize your brain. So let's go into the food a little more. So we've got fatty acids. We want nutrients for the brain, and we want quality protein sources. Fixing our gut, we want to look at probiotics, bone broth, glutamine, colostrum, collagen, supporting the intestinal lining. And if you don't get better with gut issues, I would really look into our nutrition program to get testing and not guessing what's going on. Gut nourishing foods, as I said, like bone broth, but then you can buy bone broth protein. Ideally, the real source is best, I think, but colostrum, glutamine, I put those all into my protein shake. I take Keon Whey, mix them all together. Neurotransmitter supporting nutrients. Again, we go back to the animal protein, grass-fed beef, wild salmon, pasture eggs, raw dairy, almonds, spirulina, chlorella. Again, I like the energy bits and recovery bits. Essential aminos, of course, I like Keon, essential amino acids. Eating our essential fatty acids, the fish, the eggs, grass-fed beef, those are going to be good sources. Nuts, seeds, olive oil. So spirulina, chlorella. So these amino acids, they're in those essential fatty acids. Okay, nutrients for the brain, antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, minerals, exogenous ketones, fermented foods, and prebiotics. And I put some pictures. I like the sauerkraut that's at Trader Joe's is really good. Sometimes use that. I like jicama. I like mixing that with guacamole. If you make it just guacamole, just mash up some avocados, put some lemon, you're good to go. Adds that salt. Dandelion greens, you can throw those into a saute, maybe put that with some sliced up steak and sea salt on everything. B vitamins, how do we get more B vitamins? Calf's liver, lentils, spinach, turnips. B vitamins, quality of mind is also going to be in there. Again, testing and not guessing. Brain booster supplements, big whole list there, I won't read. And then minerals, you can do goat protein powder, trace minerals, Celtic sea salt, ancient mineral drops. I like LMNT and Redmond Real Light and Redmond sea salt. There's Pure Vitamin Club, Ultra Salt 2 for athletes that sometimes is good in hot weather or big sweaters. But I like to get the unsweetened. I find stevia is reactive to me and a lot of clients because it's in everything. So here's a good chart I found on activities that how they affect your brain. So yoga increases GABA, kind of that calming, the BDNF and NGF decreases glutamate. Social gatherings increases oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. Social isolation reduces hippocampus brain-derived neurofactor, BDNF. So opposite. So if we have round people versus not, that makes a big difference. Check that out. Falling in love, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. It also enhances motivation and drive. Meditation. What does that help? BDNF. Keto, low carb, higher fats, decreases glutamate, increases GABA, highly neuroprotective, although not sustainable. Well, that's some people, it is sustainable. So it depends. And then ice baths. Brain boosters, of course, quality of mind, brain neurotropics, dietary lifestyle supplements, but always start with nutrition. So summarize leaky gut, leaky brain, supplements, cold therapy, nourishing the gut, vagal nerve, snacking, high fat, limit alcohol, sleep. So remember, you can't out supplement poor lifestyle habits. I read an article from Ben said, there's no substitute for clean eating, intelligent exercise, and high quality sleep. Without that foundation, anything I recommend is built on sand. Purpose, you need a motivation of your why. Whether it's for your relationship with your family or friends, God, or an earthly goal, you need to identify a reason to value your health in the first place. Amen. Mediocre brain health derails everything. If you're easily exhausted, easily overwhelmed, and have the attention span of a gnat and a weak willpower, it'll be hard to implement any of these fitness strategies, dietary strategies, supplement routines, breathwork, meditation that you need to improve your health of your life. Focus now, cultivating a flow state and a future focus consistently. Lastly, HP axis dysfunction, how that goes, signs and symptoms of stress and causes of dysfunction. It's the same thing for all this: stress, breathing, overtraining, excessive calorie restriction, lack of sleep, chronic inflammation. You see a pattern. So what can you do? Control your stress, work on your breathing, sleeping, creating routine, strengthen that vagal nerve, work on your cold exposure, showers, box breathing, breathing in, count of 4, hold it, count of 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Do that a few times through until you're more relaxed, and do that to fall asleep. 4, 7, 8 breathing. Breathing in, count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 7, exhale, count of 8. Try that a few times, 3 rounds. So how do we optimize our brain health? Wrap it up. Avoid antidepressants when possible. Ideally focus on balancing your neurotransmitters naturally. Moderate caffeine and alcohol consumption. Do a monthly caffeine reset. Audit personal care and household products. Use that EWG website. Moderate exposure to overstimulating sounds, videos, and other excessive sensory stimuli, especially nighttime. Eat lots of fats, B vitamins, minerals, amino acids. Supplement with fish oil, curcumin, CBD, adaptogens. Get outside in nature at least 30 minutes, 1 hour per day, especially in the morning. Daily cold exposures via cold shower, cold soak, walking in the ocean. Implement at least one breathing technique to practice each day, as I just explained. Prioritize sleep. Avoid chronic cardio, excessive exercise, or implement 1 to 2 recovery days, or even a whole week. Do a deload week once a month. Build 3 weeks, 1 week off. But that week doesn't mean not doing anything. Yoga, Pilates, movement training, walking. Focus on the gut-brain connection. Implement gut healing foods daily as bone broth, glutamine, colostrum. Conduct gut testing if symptoms persist. Test for those neurotransmitters, genetics, adrenals, micronutrients to gut health to find underlying causes of imbalance. So what I do, I focused on creating a positive mindset. I thrive every day by living mostly outside as much as I can. I get outside for exercise when I wake up, outside sunrise exercise. I watch the sunset, get outside for a walk, or maybe I'm doing yoga, or depending on the time of year, we're doing strength training in the gym. I spend time working in the yard, moving, beach walks. Did that this morning. Cold therapy might be in the ocean for me, walking into it, or it might be just ending on cold. I'm kind of a wimp with the cold plunge. Evening rituals, disconnecting, setting boundaries. I do yin yoga at nighttime a few nights a week. And again, digital detox, unplugging, putting everything airplane mode when I'm at home. So again, supplementing, if you still need help, there's a great all-in-one supplement for focus memory. Is called Qualia Mind. So it helps you focus. I've been trying to do that, seeing if it helps me optimize my learning and memory long-term, getting clarity, struggling with attention. If you want more, check out our coaching programs to really get individualized program. Doing genetics, looking at thyroid function, measure all their thyroid markers. The Dutch test does your hormones over a 24-hour period. General brain health, and neurotransmitters you can do via quiz. So testing neurotransmitter balances, there's a Dr. Braverman's brain deficiency quiz. There's Dr. Mark Hyman's Ultra Mind Solution Companion Guide, and you can look up Julia Ross's mood type questionnaire. Genetic testing, 23andMe, there's Strategene, there's a DNA company I just interviewed today, Genetic Genie. So if you want to talk with someone, I would meet with someone, a friend tonight, today, and just say, hey, what are 3 things to improve your mood? Let's take one of those and create a strategy, a program, how to get results. What can you do now? Okay, and then another seminar we can talk about keto for brain health, fasting, and protein restriction, and how that can help. So go figure out what your one thing is, how you can implement that one thing into your life. What's a little trick? Maybe if it's 1 minute of stretching while do nasal breathing, box breathing before you fall asleep at night. So for you, maybe it's your area of opportunities, getting up in the morning at sunrise, going for a walk. So pick something to help optimize your brain health. Okay, hopefully that can help you figure out how to be your best self and improve your aging process, and looking at your future self, how you want to be living life when you're 10, 20, 30 years from now. How do you see yourself? So get working on that brain health now before you have issues. Thanks for listening and watching on the YouTube channel, The Low Carb Athlete. Let me know if you have any questions or want personalized coaching. Head to wpotts.net for a free discovery call.